Hi, I'm Michael Koenig with California Pacific Brokers.
And I'm Maureen Torretto with iMortgage.
How you doing, Maureen?
I'm great, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's Monday morning. We're downtown Livermore, and we just like to sit down sometimes and talk real estate.
We do.
All right. Speaking of real estate, there's a buyer side, there's a seller side. In working with buyers, I always like to give them a certain amount of advice early on in the transaction, and typically that has to deal with mortgages. So could you give me a list of, let's say, mortgage don'ts? What does a buyer not want to do while they're in the purchase contract?
While they're in that process, there are quite a few things we want to touch on. The first big one, the one we get the most, is moving your money. Don't move your money. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm just transferring it from one account to the other. Well, the reason we don't want you to do that is because then we have to get more documentation from you, more paperwork. So if you're just keeping it in the one account and that money's going to come from that account for closing, that's perfect. So try to keep it all in that one account. The next thing is we don't want to see any large deposits. If you have a relative or someone that's going to pay you back, have them hold off until the end of the process and pay you back after. If you need those funds to close, then that's okay. We can have those funds deposited, and then you can get a paper trail on those funds. So that's okay. That's all right. The next item is don't pay off bills. And the reason for that is you want to keep as much cash as you can, and we may want to strategically pay some bills and not others.
Strategically. Okay.
Strategically. So you don't necessarily have to have a zero balance on a card or on an account in order to qualify. And you may need those funds in reserves instead. So
that's a perfect point. I know so many buyers will say, well, I should pay off all my cards so my credit score will look better. So that's not necessarily the truth.
It's not necessarily what you need to do to qualify or to purchase a home. So definitely talk with your loan officer about that.
Okay.
And the next one that people get concerned about is changing jobs in the middle of a transaction. I recently had a young man who got a great offer and he was afraid to change jobs. And I said, well, let's talk about it and see, when are you going to be finishing that job? When are you going to be starting? Because he was getting a raise and he was getting better benefits. So it made sense for him to take that new position. And I certainly don't want him to miss out on that, even though he's purchasing a home.
Right.
So we were able to make the timeline work so that he started the new job. He got his first pay stub before we closed, and better situation for him and his family.
Cool. Well, that's some excellent tips. So those were the don'ts.
Yes.
Right? So I'll tell you what, we'll cut the video short here because these are some great points. The next time we shoot a video, let's talk about mortgage dues.
Yes.
Fair enough?
What can you do to help yourself?
Okay, so stay tuned for that one. But until then, I'm Michael with California Pacific Brokers.
I'm Maureen Torretto with iMortgage.
All right, look forward to the next video.
Sounds good.
Great.